Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Justine and I am a gardener from Manitoba, Canada, which is in Zone 3B, and I am addicted to gardening. So today I thought I would do a little seed haul for 2025 so I can show you what I'll be growing this upcoming season. Okay, let's get into it here. So actually I'm going to start with my bigger box. So this box is from West Coast Seeds. And I did my ordering a little bit late this year. For those of you that aren't in Canada, our postal service had a strike just before the holidays. So a lot of things were getting delayed because of the strike. So I just didn't put in my seed order until after the strike was over because I figured everything's going to take a long time to get here anyways. So yeah, this is all I have. This is my biggest seed haul. The other package is quite small, so try to get things organized a little bit here. As you can see, I went a little nuts, but I think I'm going to try to divide these into flowers and veggies. Okay, this is a lot of seeds. So I thought I would start off with these bigger seed envelopes just to get them out of the way. So first up I have corn. This is a Jubilee Super Sweet. I've never grown this variety before, but the package says that this variety has extraordinary sweetness that is matched by overall texture. The plump yellow kernels are bursting with rich, sweet flavor. Jubilee is a great choice for home gardeners, and it takes 85 days from transplant to harvest, which is the perfect amount of time to grow it in my area. And I bought 4 envelopes of these. There's about 50 seeds in each. Last year, when I grew corn, I wanted it to take up an entire row of my garden. And I think I had 2 envelopes, which was about 100 seeds, and it only took up about half of the space. So I bought 4 this year just to make sure I can fill up the entire space, because corn does best if it's grown in like a square block. So I wanted to make sure that I had enough corn to be able to do that this year. Okay, so that's corn. These are not organized in any way at the moment, so I'm just going to go through them. So I have next up Baby Boo, which is a little pumpkin. So it says these adorable mini creamy white pumpkins grow to around the size of a tennis ball. So they're very small. And I wanted these to grow on my arched trellises, and these will be like decorations for Halloween. I think you can grow it for eating as well, but I'm sure it doesn't taste as good as some of the other pumpkins that are meant for eating. But it's perfect for growing on trellises and fences, and I think this will look really beautiful over my double arched trellis. I had a few pumpkins growing on there last summer, and having some white pumpkins I think will be a stunner this year. This is my cat Winky. She also wants to say hi. I think they just hear the sounds of the seeds in the envelopes and get a little excited. Okay, moving on. Okay, so I did kind of sort through my seeds just briefly here to pick out my 3 onions that I'll be growing this year. So I have the Calibra, the Patterson, and the Zabroon shallot. The Patterson and the Calibra I grew last year, and I had one of the best onion years I've ever had. I think I started around 250 to 300 onion seeds in January of last year, and probably had over 200 onions, and I have a bunch of them stored in my basement right now. So these are both storage onions. The Calibra here is a mild sweet Spanish storage onion. It'll reach 15 centimeters in diameter by the end of the season, and then it will store for up to 4 months if cured well. So these have been doing great in my basement. None of them have gone soft yet, and they were all a great size. So definitely recommend these Calibra onions if you're looking for a good storage onion. I also have these Patterson onions. I also grew these last year. Same thing. They did really well last year. They are still storing in my basement and they haven't gone soft yet either. So this one says it's a fantastic long day storage onion that has very round uniform bulbs with strong skins and they can store for several months. So these ones might store a little bit longer than the Calibra, but as of right now, they're both, I'm just trying to think of when I harvested my onions last year. I think it was sometime in August, so it's now January. So they've been storing for quite a few months now and they're both doing really well. So definitely recommend these two. These are Zebrune shallots and they're quite large. Like the largest one I got was about this big, maybe 4 or 5 inches. And it says this French heirloom combines the ease and texture of an onion with the delicate gourmet flavor of a shallot. The long-lasting bulbs have a pinkish-brown skin over crisp white interiors. The flesh is sweet and mild for gourmet cooking, and it takes 100 days. These taste amazing, but I will say that these are starting to get soft in my basement right now. We've been having to eat them very quickly, so I don't think I'm going to be growing as many of the Zebrune shallots this year, but I'm definitely going to be growing some because they were really delicious. They just don't store as well as the onions do. Okay, next up, okra. I've been trying to grow okra in my garden for years now and I have had zero luck with it, so I have no recommendations, but this Clemson Spineless is always one that's recommended. It says that this is a popular heirloom that grows quickly to 1.2 meters. Edible flowers develop into meaty, strongly flavored pods that add crunchy texture to dishes. And it takes 56 days. So in theory, I should be able to grow these okra in my yard. But what I find happens is that the plants, I start them indoors pretty early because I think they need, it doesn't say on here when to start them other than just saying early spring. But I do start my okra indoors and then they grow about maybe a couple inches and then I find that they get really stunted when I put them outdoors and they don't actually grow when I put them outside. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but I'm going to try again this year and hopefully get some okra. So next up I have broccoli. This variety is called Green Magic. That's what it looks like there if you're curious. And it says, Green Magic is perfect for summer harvest because of its hybrid resistance to bolting. Its large heads are blue-green with uniform, tightly packed florets, excellent flavor and tolerance to powdery mildew. It takes 60 days and it is the winner of an RHS Award of Garden Merit. So last year, my brassicas, all of them for the most part, didn't do too great. They got attacked by flea beetles in the early spring and then pretty much decimated by the cabbage moth caterpillars throughout the summer. So I didn't get very many brassicas. This year, going into the 2025 garden season, I'm going to be putting up a little mini hoop over one of my beds and growing just brassicas within that bed. So I'll plant everything out pretty early, put the hoop over top, and then hopefully that will keep the flea beetles and the cabbage moth caterpillars out of my brassicas so I can actually enjoy some of them this year because it was pretty disappointing to plant a bunch of brassicas and getting nothing to show for it. I have another brassica here. So I have the Aspa broccolini. So I actually grew this last year, and I know I just said that I didn't have very much success with my brassicas, which is true, but I did get like 2 tiny florets of the Aspa broccolini, and it was really good. So I want to be able to grow more of this. So this says it's a delicious baby broccoli that resembles a broccoli rabe with an asparagus stem. It's sweet, delicate flavor with a subtle peppery taste, milder and sweeter when cooked, but tender and crisp when eaten raw, and it takes 50 days. So this one did give me a couple florets, and hopefully I will get some more this year. So I'm excited to try this one out again. And since we're doing brassicas, I'm just going to pull these 2 out of my batch here. Okay. So first I have cabbage. So it's called a farro cabbage there. And this description says, it's a longtime favorite. Farro is easy to grow with the ability to hold in the garden or field for an extended time without splitting. 1.3 to 1.8 kilograms, which is 3 to 4 pound head size. and they are crunchy and sweet. Best grown in the spring through the summer for fresh eating. So last year, funny story, I grew some brassicas, and like I said, they got eaten by flea beetles and then the cabbage moths. So in the fall, when I was cleaning out the garden, I tilled the bed that my brassicas were growing in, and my tiller hit something pretty hard, and it was a tiny little cabbage head. I haven't had very much success growing cabbage in the past, so the fact that I had a little tiny cabbage head was very exciting for me, even though I didn't get to eat it. It was filled with holes from the caterpillar, so it's not like I was going to eat it anyways, but it gave me some hope that maybe this year I'll have some more success growing some cabbage, because I love cabbage and it would be nice to be able to grow some in my garden. And then last but not least, when it comes to brassicas, I have some kohlrabi. This one is called Conan, and it says this uniform and rigorous hybrid has large light green bulbs and firm white flesh. This All-American Selections winner was fast and uniform in summer field trials, and it takes 50 days. I actually had kohlrabi and grew kohlrabi for the first time in the garden last year. It was actually the only brassica that grew in my garden. Everything else was eaten, but the kohlrabi was good, and I only got one of them, and I really, really enjoyed it. If you've never had it, it basically tastes like a broccoli stem. So if you like the firmness and taste of broccoli stem, you'll like kohlrabi as well. And yeah, it did really well in the garden. So I'm hoping even if my other brassicas fail, maybe this one will be successful and I'll still be able to get something out of my garden. Okay, so next up is another cool hardy crop. I have carrots, and this is a rainbow blend. So this rainbow blend basically is a bunch of different colored carrots. I don't know which varieties all of them are. It doesn't say on the package. But I will say that I had one of my best carrot years last year. I grew giant lunar white carrots, which I actually couldn't get seeds for this year. West Coast Seeds was sold out of them, so I'm gonna have to see if I can find them in stores in the spring. And then the Bolero carrots, which are the orange ones that have kind of like a rounded tip to them, and they are great storage carrots. If you are looking for a good storage carrot, the Bolero is still in my fridge downstairs, and they're still like I took them right out of the garden. They're not soft, they're still very firm, very sweet, and none of them have gone bad so far. And I probably harvested those in September. So yes, if you're looking for a great storage carrot, I can't recommend the Bolero carrot enough. But anyways, I also tried to grow these rainbow blend carrots last year, and I just planted them too close together, so they were pretty small. But I think the white ones in here are lunar white, because the white ones did great in my garden. Just the other ones were quite tiny. But I'll be growing this blend again because it's just so pretty. Okay, next up I have a romaine lettuce, which is called Freckles. I also grew this in my garden for the first time last year and really enjoyed it. It has like this splotchy red color to it. It's very crisp. And the description says this tender heirloom has pale green foliage splashed with maroon red spots. Its upright leaves form an attractive head that is long-standing in early summer. This is just, yeah, it's really beautiful. I can't really describe the taste because it's lettuce, but it's not bitter or anything, and it's just very beautiful. So having this in my salads was really nice, and it did really well in my garden. So next up, I have artichokes. If you've seen any of my other growing videos, you might know already that I have a love-hate relationship with artichokes. This variety is called the Imperial Star Artichoke. The reason why I grow this one in my garden is because it is a short day variety. So this one only needs 85 to 90 days from transplant to harvest, whereas some of the other varieties like Green Globe, for example, I think need like 100, maybe even 115 days, and they just don't seem to do as well in my garden. So last year, I grew my first artichokes. So I've been growing these for maybe 3 or 4 summers, and I've always had plants that have leaves. The leaves or the plants themselves are putting on new growth, but I've never actually gotten an artichoke to eat. And last summer was my first summer that I got an artichoke, and I was so excited. It was like the size, I'm trying to think of what it was the size of, maybe a tennis ball. It was quite small. I only got one artichoke on 10 different plants. So it's a step up from getting 0, but I'm hoping that this upcoming year I'll be able to get more. Okay, so next up I have a Black Beauty melon. For those of you that are curious about what this one says, it says Black Beauty provides wonderful flavor in a personal sized watermelon. Crisp, juicy melons with dark, striped, firm skin over rich red flesh. It's nice, compact plant with excellent flavor. And the fruits grow to 2 to 2.5 kilograms, which is 4 to 5.5 pounds, and it takes 80 days. So I didn't buy too many tomatoes this year because I have tons of tomato seeds from either seeds that I have purchased or seeds that I have saved over the years. And I save the seeds of tomatoes that I really like. So I don't buy tomatoes too often. But I did buy this one because last year the paste tomato that I bought was called, oh, what was it called? Amish paste. That was the first time I've grown Amish paste. I really liked growing it. I know that some people don't love Amish paste, but it did really well in my garden. And someone else recommended Rugby that I saw online. So I thought maybe I would try this one as a substitute for Amish paste just to see if one does better than the other. So this is a vine. It's a productive Roma with firm, dense flesh with superb flavor and is great for both fresh eating and canning. And it's suitable for greenhouse and field production, and it's good disease, or it has good disease resistance. And then some snap peas. This is Cascadia. Never grown these before, but my husband requested some snap peas to nibble on in the garden, so I have some of these. It says this delicious snap pea was developed for West Coast growers. Hopefully it works here in Manitoba. The vines do not need trellising. Oh, that's interesting. But they'll tumble out and grow up to 60 centimeters tall. So I guess they don't need trellising, but they do better with trellising. So excited to give these ones a try. And then last in my West Coast Seeds vegetable pile, I have some Black Magic jalapenos. So over the last few years, I have grown Craig's Giant jalapeno, I think that's what it's called, and then an early jalapeno from maybe Burpee. I don't know which brand that one is. And they've both done okay, but I feel like I've had those packages of jalapenos for a few years now. So I feel like maybe the germination rates aren't doing as well as they have in the past. So I thought I would try a new variety and some new seeds. And these ones are, well, I'll just read you the description. So as it says, a unique dark green jalapeno that is mildly spicy with a floral note, highly productive with medium-sized hybrid plants, will produce an impressive number of thick-walled fruits that feature some corking when ready to pick. And it takes 65 days. So I wanted to try these ones because these look very similar to the ones that I buy from the farmer's market when I'm wanting to make pickled jalapenos. And I really love those jalapenos. So I'm going to try these ones and hopefully they are as productive as they say. Okay, so those are all the veggies. Now let's move on to my flowers. So one of my goals this year in the garden is to have more flowers growing in the garden. I want, of course, my vegetables and my garden to be mainly vegetables because I'm growing a garden to eat. But I really love the look of gardens that have a lot of flowers in them when you look over and you see kind of like your corn mixed in with sunflowers and your cosmos mixed in with your brassicas. I think it makes the garden look very beautiful. So my goal is to grow more flowers in 2025. So I bought quite a few flower seeds this year. So I have some zinnias. I just have the California Giants mix. I think Garden Answer had a whole section of these in her garden. And they got really tall and they were very beautiful. And I just love the colors. So I did try these last year. And I think I got maybe 2 flowers. It was not great, but I wanted to try again because the 2 flowers that did grow were quite beautiful. So it says that these zinnias are bushy plants that carry masses of large double flowers in brilliant hues. Keep the stems cut to enjoy indoors and more flowers keep coming. It says that they can grow up to 40 inches tall. Okay, so up next I have the Pacific Beauty Calendula. So this is a mixture of calendula, And it says this wonderful mix produces semi-doubled flowers in warm apricot, cream, gold, and shades of yellow. I wanted to grow these because I make my own soaps, and calendula is great for your skin, so I'm growing these basically just to put into my soaps when I make them in the fall. Also, they are really beautiful. Like, they definitely are going to bring a beautiful splash of color to the garden. But they also serve a purpose, which is nice. This package doesn't have any photos on it, but I could put a photo here. This is a sunflower, and if I remember correctly, this is going to be a smaller sunflower. I feel like no cottage garden is complete without some sweet peas. I've grown these for a few years. They always do really well in the garden, and they smell incredible. If you've never grown sweet peas, I highly recommend doing so. So another goal for 2025 is to plant a wildflower meadow in the back half of our property. When we first bought this house, we thought we'd create an orchard at the back, but because it gets so wet in the spring and the summer, we just knew that no fruit trees would survive back there. So an alternative is to have a little bit of a wildflower meadow. So this summer we are going to prep maybe 1 or 2 beds and plant mostly Manitoba native wildflowers, but we also wanted to plant these butterfly bush plants. They're really beautiful, and if you've ever seen these in real life, they're always covered with insects. So we thought these would be a good addition to our mostly Manitoba native wildflower meadow. And if you've never seen these or heard of these before, the description says, sometimes called orange milkweed, this hardy, drought-proof perennial is intensely attractive to butterflies and other beneficial garden insects. Waxy green stems reach to 70 centimeters tall and are topped by vivid orange flower clusters. So it is a very beautiful plant, and I think this will add a nice contrast to some of the other flowers that we'll be adding to our wildflower meadow. And I'm very excited about these ones. Next, I have some cosmos. Cosmos, you really can't go wrong. Spectacular, fully double and semi-double cosmo flowers in white, pink, and carmine. These are the double click varieties, and yeah, they're very beautiful. I've grown these before in the garden, and they did really well. So on the same vein, I guess you could say, as the wildflower meadow in the back of our property, we are also hoping to do some landscaping in the front of our property. Right now, there's just kind of an old flower bed that doesn't really have anything growing in it. So we want to revamp it and put some actual flowers in and have it be a little bit more of a statement than what it is right now. And our color scheme is going to be purples and pinks. So I got a purple coneflower, which will go in the front as well. Kind of classic. I'll also put these in the vegetable garden too, because they're very beautiful and they attract a lot of pollinators. So the familiar blooms of echinacea appear from July to October, which is another reason why we actually want to put it in the front, because it will bloom for most of the summer. It says bright mauve petals surround a distinctive rich plum center cone. The plants are drought tolerant once established, which is actually nice because the front of our yard that we want to landscape is directly next to the house, so it's not going to get a ton of moisture. It'll get some rain, but not a ton. So having a drought resistant plant in there will be super nice. So yeah, I'm really excited to grow those. And then we'll grow some poppies as well. These ones are called purple peony, so they look like a peony. And it says this member of the peony series has the same wavy, tightly packed petals in a very warm purple color. Dry seed pods be used for dried flowers and bake with the abundant seeds inside each one. So you can bake with these as well, which is pretty cool. And yeah, these will go in the front landscape garden, and poppies do really well in Manitoba, so I'm very excited to try those. And then last but not least is the Pro Cut White Light. I've grown these before. They are beautiful. They're like a small to medium sized sunflower. Great for cut flowers. And yeah, they're just stunning. And they do really well. I can't remember, but I don't think any of these had, like, I don't know if you have grown sunflowers, but you know how they can get a little bit weird sometimes? These ones did not do that for me last time I grew them. So I'm hoping that is true for this year as well, because they're very, very beautiful. Okay, so that is the West Coast seeds order. And then I have a very small order from the Ontario Seed Company. What do I have here? Okay, since we were still talking about flowers, I will show you these. This is a chrysanthemum, and I just saw the photo and I was like, I need to grow those. They're very, very pretty. It says that they're annuals, extra large single blooms of pink, red, yellow, and purple bicolors with colorful markings on long 60-centimeter stems. Good for gardens or cut flowers. So those are very pretty, and I think they will be very pretty in the garden. And then I just got another zinnia mix. This is the cactus flower mix. So instead of having kind of flat petals, they have more tubular shapes to make them look like a cactus. So those are the two flowers that I got. And the whole reason I ordered from this seed company, I've never ordered from them before, so I have no opinion on them. The reason why I purchased some seeds for them is because I was looking for these Hales or Halleys, I'm not sure how you say that, Halley's Best Cantaloupe. Bree Ellis on YouTube said that these cantaloupes do the best in her garden, and they get quite big. Yeah, they can weigh up to 2 kilograms each, and they do really well in her garden, and she's just a few zones warmer than I am. And I figured, you know what, if she has good success with them, I might as well try. And yeah, she says that they're very delicious. So I'm really excited to try these and see how they do in my Zone 3B garden. But of course, when you go onto a seed website, you're going to find other seeds that you want to. So I bought old German tomatoes. Never tried these before, but this is a variety that I often see people talk about. So I'm excited to try them. It says this Mennonite heirloom makes a great slicing tomato, and it is juicy and it's striped orange and red. And then I have another watermelon here. This is the Crimson Sweet. And then I just bought some basil because I started my AeroGarden last week or the week before, and I realized I had no basil seeds for my AeroGarden or just my garden in general. So this is just your sweet, classic sweet basil. And that is it. I hope you enjoyed this seed haul. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below what you're excited to grow this year. I hope you have a great week in the garden if you are gardening already, and I will see you next time.